Hello, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to give you some first impressions on the Warrior. First of all, I'm sorry, but I'm really tired. I'm doing this at the very last moment. I think after I render it and press the upload button, I think I just dropped that. I'm really tired. Back to the topic, the Warrior. First of all, why first impressions? I have to get to grips with those vehicles, not just this tank, but I also have to play the BMP2, and I just have to figure out the small details of those tanks, see what is what. But overall, I really like this light tank. I know it's an infantry fighting vehicle, but within War Thunder it is classified as a light tank, and so you should treat it. I like the look of it, I like the overall performance of it, the mobility and the firepower, and a lot of oddities about this vehicle. So first of all, I love this camouflage. Then I love the ATGMs, and I really like the mobility. And if you look into the tech tree, 8.0 is a bit of a dry battle rating for the British, but it feels really great within the 8.3 lineup. Even higher, it is still competitive. We'll just see in a moment why. And it is much more useful than the Swingfire and the Striker. I mean, there are some few experts out there that do ridiculous stuff with them, but for the normal player that is used to your normal tank, the Swingfire and the Striker are just too restricted. And the Warrior again fills here the mobility gap, the gap that there is no scout. There is nothing to support the team also with repairs and such. And so it is in the fight with the BMP2 that also has a lower battle rating and at first glance a better gun. But we'll see about this in a moment. First of all, I also want to point out that there are some bug reports out there about the 30mm APDS rounds and the amount of ATGMs. But let's just very briefly see what's what. Look at the gun handling, gun depression and elevation and turret rotation speed, but a rather low rate of fire. The armor is also not very convincing, but it's a bit angled, but the turret is squishy. But then we have a tier 4 upgrade, the composite side skirts. What about the ammunition? Well, for the 30mm, the stock rounds are very similar to what a lot of the SPAs out there have, a mixed belt of API and high explosive with overall 60mm of penetration. But it's the lack of rate of fire that makes this belt not the most useful, especially if you try to shoot down aircraft. If somebody is coming directly towards you, you can threaten it. And the APDS is really nice, 110mm of penetration. This might get buffed, especially the performance against angled. There are some discrepancies out there. We will see how this works. Against 60 degrees angles of attack, it's looking really bad. And I also use it in point blank broadside 90 degrees angles of attack. Then we have two different ATGMs. We have the Milan 1, and it has a 2 km range, but that's mostly sufficient. It feels really fast. Sadly, we have no stats to back this up. 580mm of penetration at 8.0 is nothing to cough at. It's nice. However, the Milan 2, 730mm, and you also have 2 km range. You also have really great performance. It feels satisfying. You have this oomph of the start, and then the post penetration damage effect is also really nice. And I actually don't have to mention that it initiates hull break on especially a lot of SPAs and Object 120s. So this is a tier 3 upgrade, but I think the stock grind could be worse, especially because the APDS-T belt is a tier 1 upgrade, so that's in big contrast to the BMP1. That also cannot stay in the fight for as long, because it just eats through the shells much quicker with a much higher rate of fire. It only has 4 ATGMs that are also apparently not as great to use, and it also has no armor whatsoever. So this tank actually is a bit more versatile, I'd say. And what it's really all about, let's see what it's what in some battle gameplay. The first lesson is obviously positioning and how to observe your surrounding and listening. And now I heard a tank and I saw a very brief glimpse of it, and then I thought to myself, was I just imagining this thing? But then I really saw the tank again and I followed him up. And the question is how to use which weapon system, and you know, to be confident and to be an ice cold killer. And so you always could spam the ATGM around and all those things, but maybe you have the chance to take on an enemy just simply with the fact that you have this 30mm. First we set him on fire, we disable him, and then we go for the back of the turret, but he rotates around, and you need multiple shots for the ammunition, of course. And so here I also kill the driver, and so his turret rotation speed is way too low. He just can't do anything, and we aim still for the back of the turret, and there we go, and the commander is dead. So I didn't use here an ATGM. And now I have no chance here with the cannon. I was a bit overextending, but this fellow here, he didn't see me. And I have the good part is that I kill his engine transmission and actually the turret ring. So I have all the time in the world to reload the ATGM and just go for his gunner and driver, and I actually kill them and get here another kill. And again, we have to stay calm. We are in the bushes, the object 120 doesn't see us, so we take care. I could here use the ATGM, but 2 shots of the 30mm is all that it takes to blow up the ammunition. Obviously the ATGM initiates hull break, which is very useful. So then we have this battle scene here on Cologne, and I actually went across the entire map, as you can see, right at the start of the battle. Great mobility here, and there are 2 tanks. I take no chances with this one because there are 2. We kill him with the ATGM, and the other one hasn't noticed us. So this gives us all the time to aim for the back of the turret, and you can see the lack of stabilizer. Then we disable him in terms of mobility. We aim for the back of the turret, and then we get the ammunition blow up. And that was a very important double kill. That was great support for our team, and we got obviously all the rewards. Do you guys know the definition of an overkill? Cover your eyes, kids. Cruelty against small tanks. That was actually a kind of a panic shot, but you could see how satisfying the rocket goes off, how fast it is, and how precisely it hits. So the following triple scene is from one battle fighting around A, and this tank is not really built to fight in caps, but around them to support your team or to single-handedly take out a triple division of a heavy tank, and just in a moment a medium tank, and then bait another medium tank also into a trap. So this guy, he saw me, but there was not too much that he effectively could do it. I moved in aggressively, and the ATGM just works at long range, mid range, and also short range. It's very satisfying, very reliable. I just love this oomph of the start, and then and actually how it works. The post-penetration damage effect must not be underestimated. Now here I moved into the capture zone, decapping it, moving out, and there it is. I had no idea where he was, and I had quickly disabled here the cannon breach. There is not much that he can do. 180 jam into the side, jams his turret ring, and I quickly take out here the gun. So this is just a habit, and I'm very glad here that he didn't do anything against my crew here with the heavy machine gun. He's probably repairing. I had to move in because denying him the capture zone. Now we set him on fire with the gun, disabling the transmission and the engine, so his repair is interrupted, and now he's just left to die. So I have to test here the ATGM. At those short ranges it actually doesn't fire. So a second shot into here the back of the turret, taking out the gunner, securing the kill. So moving around the capture zones, using your mobility, repositioning, using the combination of the ATGM and the gun, knowing how to use what at which point is the key to success with this tank. And if you do it right, it's really fun, it's satisfying and efficient. Also, a very important thing that you have to know is using your patience, getting used to it, using your mobility to go into a position before the enemy arrives and let just the enemy, passing your position and then just falling them in the back. And then also checking if some other tanks are coming. And also, again, listening. With one of my recent videos, one of my subscribers, I guess, was discouraged by my tryhard video and was saying, well, looking at this video, this just convinced me to step away from the game for a while as there are too many good people. First of all, the rank of a person doesn't say anything. He could earn his level 100 with aircraft and play for the very first time in tanks, or the other way around. And my videos are here to explain what I know and for you to learn what to do and what not to do. And so here I listen and I look around. I go into this ambush position and I see on the minimap two things. A gets captured and the enemy is obviously looking the other way, I expect. And my support from my two teammates or three teammates is just a little bit too far away. Here I saw through the gap those two tanks, and that is now an IS-4 and actually an Object 268. I let the Object 268 go away and blow up here the IS-4M, and I'm not quite sure if the Object 268 has witnessed this. And so we go to work. I cannot penetrate here reliably the back of the tank, but now I saw it. His cannon breech is out and one of his crew members is out. I cannot really reliably damage him, but now I hit him on the engine, so he's dead in the water. And yeah, I have to support here my team. So I leave this guy to die. He burns either down or, you know, before he can repair, I can finish him off. And so let's see what we can do to this T-54-47. We actually take him out with the gun. But that was all just possible because he was preoccupied with fighting my teams around the corner. And this is it. Either you make yourself an ambush and disable the tank before you just take him out, or you use your teammates to be a distraction and then the enemy has no chance of dealing with you. You immobilize them if they are tank destroyers, casemate tank destroyers that is, or you just use their slow turret rotation speed if you catch them sideways on. So to know when to go in and not is also very important, and you just learn this by trying. So I think the tank is really fun. You can see its capabilities, and also against aircraft it is not that useless, to be honest, although in this case I don't shoot him down. A minute or so later and we can see some action on the minimap in just a moment. There we go. And yeah, I scout here this tank, and now I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place, but I'm not quite sure if the enemy knows that I'm here. So let's see, where is the object? There it is, and one single APDS round is good enough. That's now my fourth kill. And I try to help here my teammates. I don't know what's going on. That's obviously a case for the ATGM. We take out the crew with one ATGM, very satisfying. It was a crew kill actually. Hello there. And there you can see the APDS also with multiple shots does enough damage to take out the enemy. Also the turret or the gun elevation speed is very satisfying. So the gun handling is just excellent. So in the following I want to present you the very first game that I played with this tank at all. And I almost fell for the temptation to show this battle to you exclusively, but I had to really test it out further to give you a proper first impressions. So I didn't want to rush it, and I also had enough videos to give me enough time to actually play the tank to come into grips with it. So you can see I'm disappearing here behind the ridge lines. I have not the camo scheme that I now have, and also I have no bushes on the tank. I also went away from the bushes again because in city fight that's not very useful. Yes, and now you could make a whole wide arrangement of user skins and all these things, and then preload them. But I always forget about this. And there are some symbols on the minimap. Bit of action going on. First ATGM is out, and it hits hard on an IS-7. Gunner, loader, and engine, and it's on fire. So let's see if we have enough time to reload the ATGM. Of course, then you give your position kind of away, and this is always kind of a tricky moment. But we taken out a Russian heavy tank, which is pretty dangerous. Some action going on right there. So obviously we move in to investigate. Again, I had no idea about the tank's capabilities, and while it doesn't have a stabilizer, this is really nice. With the first APDS rounds through the bushes, we actually get a crew knockout on our Object 120. Really satisfying. And you can see we are further moving towards the enemy's front line. This map is rather unique. C is a bit out of the fight through the lake, and B is also dangerous to move around. So I want to support my team on A. And there is now an enemy tank, and there is something else going on. It's really difficult to see now in the preview video, but on my big screen actually in the fight I see a lot of things, but I didn't see this one coming. So I shoot here the fence away and launch then the ATGM, and we get a one shot on an IS-4. Tough not to crack for a conventional tank, to be honest, except if they have heat, of course. But here, no problem for the ATGM. And we still have 6 of them left. So, or 5. So, that's actually a lot of firepower. Now a BMP-1 has to think about returning into a capture zone, risking its own life, moving across the open to actually get a useful shell back. And as you can see, I also spot here. So I want to disturb the enemy. I want to just make them uncomfortable, slowing down their advance. And also fighting, of course, enemy light tanks. There we saw some action. Where are you? Where are you? So he's just behind the house, so I could spot the enemy tank through the house. Gaijin could, rework this mechanic that you really have a proper line of sight to actually spot the enemy tank. And sometimes it doesn't work despite you having the tank in full crosshair. So this seems to be a T-54 that killed just an M46. Patience, patience, patience. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that was a good hit. Commander and gunner out. So he's down to 1 crew member. Question is, can we follow it up? So he could move into cover. I didn't take out his mobility. And now I just move into a better position where I have a better line of sight to the capture zone. Still, the BMP-1 killed here another M48. It's looking dire. I don't want to get into the open. There is another tank. Could this be a T-62? I'm not quite sure. Let's fire the ATGM. I could also spot him, but this hit here on the track is also slowing his advance down, of course. While I might not kill him, I give my team more breathing space. You can see there are multiple tanks on the capture side or on our spawn on the way to the capture zone. So you really have to be patient and careful. And then this looks like it's ZSU-52. And while I fire in the general direction, I have to get the hell out of there. One good hit of him and I'd be dead. So with a bit more of editing magic, we are rapidly approaching the end of the video. So as usual, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comment section how you use your tank. And as usual, we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.